Joined now by Chris Cowlin. Last word on Spurs. A bit of it must be upsetting for Spurs fans this morning.
Hello, Martin. Yeah, absolutely gutted that someone like Harry Kane is going to be out for so long. We've got injuries galore. We've had injuries galore all season. Of course, we've had the manager change as well. It's been very, very difficult so far. But Harry Kane out is a huge, huge blow.
Yeah, I mean, look, it just looked like suddenly some of the players were stepping up to the plate. There's a new impetus in the team, isn't there? You know, there's always a bit of a bounce when a manager comes in, and someone like Mourinho is going to cause a bounce anyway. But you must have had a bit of renewed strength in the squad, and then this happens.
Yeah, absolutely. But you've got to remember that it's these players that haven't got us results all season. It is a worry now for us Tottenham fans for that finishing in that top four place. Of course, we've got one of the best managers in the world. We've got a fantastic stadium. We've got fantastic training facilities. But we need to now spend the money that, you know, where we're going to get these fantastic players in that are going to get us results and going to get us Champions League football year in, year out. Now, of course, Mauricio Pochettino delivered that the past 4 seasons, Champions League football. And now it's up to Mourinho to do exactly the same. But we do need to go out and spend money and invest, you know, a lot of money. You know, we went 518 days without spending a penny. We then went out and bought 4 players. Jack Clark, who we loaned straight back to Leeds. And then the other 3 have had their injury problems all season. So it actually feels like we haven't had any new signings. And with the injuries to the existing squad, it's been very, very, very frustrating.
But, I mean, there again, it might have sort of come at the right time. The fact that, you know, they're looking at Piątek, looks to be costing around about 28 million from AC Milan. Not scored many goals. What do you make of that one?
Exactly what you've just said. Not scored many goals. Yeah. He's a player that a lot of people don't know, and they don't know his background. He's unproven in the Premier League. That is what does worry me. As a Tottenham fan, you know, we've had many players, strikers in Premier League history that have come in, had no Premier League experience, and have really struggled. Of recent times, Roberto Salgado and Vincent Janssen. Before that, Postiga, Rebrov, Raziak. You know, these sorts of players, you know, they've struggled. Yeah. So if it was me, I'd be looking closer to home and getting a player, even someone like Danny Ings, who is a proven goal scorer in the Premier League. You know, it does worry me that some of these players that we are targeting, but Piątek, I'm not so sure whether that's a Jose Mourinho type of player, and I'm not sure that that's a player that he has probably chosen.
Yeah. Do you know what? You just reeled off all those players, by the way. You reeled off about 6 or 7 players, and I thought you'd had a tooth extracted, because it just, when you sort of go through all those players and you just go, really? You know, that none of them are memorable, and all the ones that are memorable that are coming through at the moment are homegrown talent. And I reference it all the time. It's happening at Chelsea. The fact that Frank has been able to tap into the academy kids. And I know, listen, my son's at the Tottenham Academy. I know how great that training ground is, and I know what a big pull that is, that club, to get talent in. And I just don't understand why there's not more coming through. Why you've got to go and look at spending 28 million on someone that you've never heard of, I've never heard of, and is not scoring a lot of goals.
Exactly. We seem to be linked with so many players now, particularly with our injury problems, and now Harry Kane out until at least early April. You know, we're going to be linked with a lot of players, but I just hope that Tottenham spend very wisely, and you know, if we do sign any players, that is, that we do go out and spend very wisely and do look closer to home, because we don't want unproven players. We can't have players coming in at this stage of the season where we're desperate for points and desperate for getting back in that top 4 position that we desperately need. And you know, you can't be experimenting with players who haven't played Premier League football before. We need proven players who we know are going to go straight into that team and score goals and give everything for the team, because a lot of Tottenham fans haven't seen a lot of desire from a lot of Tottenham players this season, and that is what we really need to see.
The only trouble I would say is that, listen, Danny Ings is a great shout, but when Harry Kane comes back, will he be thinking, well, I don't want to go there because they've got the best striker in the country. He's going to be coming back, and I'm not going to get a lot of game time.
But I'm sure that Jose Mourinho would fit a formation that would work for all. He loves to play attacking football, but ultimately it does worry me on the defensive side because we've had problems all season. We've had contract problems, players out of form, we've had injuries, we've had the manager change, we've had every single problem under the sun. And normally I come on this show and I'm really, really positive, but there aren't many positives right now, and it's very sad and it's very frustrating to say that.
I never get Spurs fans or correspondents that are positive. I've got to tell you,
I'm always positive, Martin, but not now.
I've been around it for years, and I love going over Spurs. But I do, 1 minute it's brilliant, and the next minute it's not. And it's you want to be a West Ham fan. It's just never. It's always it's always not.
No,
just let me just look. It's Liverpool tomorrow. Strangely enough, I'm doing the gig at Spurs tomorrow. So I'm singing at Spurs, so I do look forward to it. However, it is Liverpool, and like we just said, it could be a downer tomorrow, couldn't it? You could be walking out of that stadium, and it could be a downer.
Martin, what really worries me is the fact that when I look back at the results so far this season, we got a point at Manchester City, we got a point at Arsenal, we lost against Leicester, we lost against Liverpool, we've lost against Man United, and we've lost against Chelsea. We haven't beaten a top 6 sides so far this season, and that does really, really worry me in the mentality of the players, the fact that we've got all these issues and problems at the moment, and now we've got Liverpool at home, who, quite frankly, are one of the best teams in the world at the moment. They've got great international stars, but a fantastic season. They beat us in the Champions League final on the 1st of June. I'm worried. I am worried about this game. It just depends on how Jose Mourinho sets up. I know the term parking the bus. I don't even think he can do that because I don't think our defence is good enough to do that right now. So it will be a very, very interesting game. I'll probably be watching the game in the stadium with one eye closed. I am that scared about it.
Yeah, I think, listen, I wouldn't even want to be Mourinho tomorrow because he must be thinking, I just wanted a nice little run. Let me give it some points under my belt and get on the right side of the Tottenham. But look, I think everyone's going to be sort of understanding tomorrow. There's massive injuries there, and you're playing against one of the best teams I've seen in years. By the way, I just wanted to tell you, I had Mickey Hazard on the show a couple of days ago, and he said to me that he would like to see someone like Callum Wilson or Josh King come in from Bournemouth. I'm just wondering whether players like that would go to Spurs.
Well, again, as I said earlier, homegrown talent, someone close to home who we know can score goals in the Premier League. Yes, we would welcome that, but you've got to think to yourself as a Tottenham fan, what are we pushing for? Because Pochettino delivered us Champions League football for the past 4 seasons, and surely the next step at Tottenham is to go on and try and compete for this league title. Now, we are miles away from that right now, and that is so frustrating because up to a couple of years ago, I thought we were very, very level with Liverpool. They've gone out, they've spent big, they went out with a shopping list, got all the players that they needed in the correct positions, and now they're winning every trophy under the sun, and looks like they're going to win the Premier League. Now, Tottenham, it looks like we're a mid-table team right now, and pushing for that top 4 place. We're only so close to the top 4 right now because all of the teams around us have slipped up, they've lost points, they've had poor results. Other than that, we would be mid-table. And it does worry me, the fact that because we are not spending like all of the other teams are, we're gonna come down and we're going to be a mid-table team if we don't buck our ideas up.
Do you know what? Something that Barry Silkman said to me on the show a few weeks ago. We were talking about Tottenham and where they can strengthen. He said, "Look, the Champions League it's a different ball game because it's one game at a time. You can meet a team that is poor on the day, and you can sort of slip through the net and you can get into the final. Being in the Prem and staying up there is a different game. And I think that. Do you think maybe that Spurs fans have been. It's a bit of a disillusion to think that they are a top 4 team. That they should be not a top 4 team, but to be fighting to win the Prem. You know, the fact that they got into the Champions League final is a sort of a. It's a false.
No, you don't get top 4 positions for 4 years running through luck. You get it through being a good team and having a good manager guiding you. Yes, being in the Champions League final, that was a dream come true. Yes, we were very, very close. But when you are that close, that was the important time to invest a lot of money and then challenge for the Premier League and challenge for Champions League. And I love it how we all talk about the Champions League. You know, we go back to the Carabao Cup earlier this season. We got knocked out by Colchester. And at the moment, we are struggling against a Championship side in Middlesbrough. So, you know, right now, the Champions League just seems a mile, away right now. But we do need to invest. Like, we've struggled for a right-back all season. We've struggled for a decent midfielder. At the moment, we don't even look like we've got a midfield. We've struggled since Moussa Dembele has left, and we haven't replaced him. And I know we've had injury problems, but we do need to get players in and fast.
Who would you like to see go, by the way, Chris? Out the door. Who's going to get off the books, get off the
You must get players like Danny Rose off the books because he doesn't want to be there. You've got to get people like Christian Eriksen out because they don't want to be there. As much as I love Christian Eriksen, and he's been a very good servant to Tottenham, played very well for us over the years, but when someone comes to an end of their career and they don't want to be there anymore, then you need to get rid. And players like Victor Wanyama as well, they're not going to get any game time now, so he's got to go.
By the way, Christian Eriksen, second in the list of the last decade of assists.
Yeah.
that's how good he is.
And you know what? We pay £11 million for him. And, what a bargain, what a player he has been for us. But in the last 12 months, it just hasn't worked out. And, he's been in very poor form in the past 12 months.
Yeah, certainly has. Listen, I do wish you well tomorrow because, as I say, I'm doing the gig at Spurs. And there's nothing worse than performing to a load of disgruntled fans. So I hope it goes well tomorrow. And I appreciate you coming on. Chris Cowlin there, last word on Spurs.